Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Silver's Stagnant Summer. Let's explore. There's not really been a whole lot going on in terms of the price of silver as of late. You know, the summer doldrums, this silver's summer slump is here. And it usually is the case during the summers, and it's actually a good thing. And believe it or not, there's a lot to talk about when there's not a whole lot of activity going on with silver. To me, times like this are a time to kind of sit back and reflect upon what you have purchased and maybe what we will continue to purchase. And as you know, I'm not stressing that anybody should buy anything at any particular time, but I think it's a good idea to buy when the price is lower and maybe buy a little less when the price is higher. But nonetheless, it's up to each individual and their economic situation, their financial situation, their own fiscal health, so to speak, and practicing fiscal responsibility along the way is heavily encouraged. Yes, indeed. So this is why you typically don't see me pushing people to buy at a particular time. However, I will say this, that gold and silver really have been relatively stagnant, although we have seen kind of gold move in kind of these crazy directions, and silver as well to the downside. We did see silver move dramatically lower for a period of time, and we thought maybe this could be the beginning of a downward trend that could have led to almost a crash like what we saw last March. There was a little bit of fear that that could happen. It turns out that it didn't recover relatively quickly, and we have maintained a level of support. And that is the really the focus of what this video is about. That's the subject of what we're discussing here with regards to silver. The stagnant summer for precious metals really allows the prices to kind of seep in. And we're talking about gold and silver spot price. And as of the recording of this video, well, it's in the hot August, early August. And we are seeing gold trading at a up nominally, not by a whole lot, but it's $1,813 an ounce. Silver, it almost broke through to $26 the other day, but it is down now, and it's right around $25.50. It's something to see. I mean, we saw it climb, spiking up not long ago to almost $26 an ounce. But that is kind of the thing. There's kind of that support level and the resistance, support and resistance for the metals. And that's kind of what it's about. And it's about holding on. It's about taking stock in what we've got here with our precious metals and the prices. Now, we know that ever since the pandemic hit, we have seen a departure between spot price and the price that you pay at the point of sale, and the price that you get at the point of sale. When you need to sell your precious metals, since the pandemic, essentially you've been able to get a bit more than spot for them, especially if they're silver eagles. But we know that the premiums are starting to come back down now for gold and silver, although they can't go down fast enough, especially if you're buying. But that's going to hurt us when we need to sell too, because then that means that we are going to have to take into account what they're willing to give us back for them. And one thing we know for sure is that dealers are going to move much closer to the norm, the standard pre-pandemic, if the premiums start falling a bit. So before you see a return to normalcy in the premiums, the dealers will return there much more quickly. And a lot of that is because demand has kind of eased back a bit. And why? Well, because of silver's stagnant summer. The silver squeeze movement had an effect early on in the year. But I think probably they're saying that, you know, with what's going on with the spot price, it was only nominal and basically it reflected itself mostly in premiums. But essentially, the silver squeeze on the actual physical spot price has not had that much of an effect. And so therefore, we're back in the regular doldrums, I guess what you'd consider a normal summer, all things considered. But it's anything but normal in terms of what's going on in the economy, in terms of what's going on with geopolitics. There's a lot happening that, that's being kind of squashed in the news geopolitically by domestic affairs, and not only in relation to the pandemic, but also scandal in New York, and of course we've got other actions going on as well too in terms of infrastructure spending. Seems to be the par for the course, where Republicans want to spend just not as much as Democrats do, or not as much money paid out. But and essentially, what is that going to lead to? More spending is going to lead to more velocity of the dollar that they're printing, and that's going to in turn speed up inflation, which means that we should enjoy the stagnant summer that we're experiencing, especially for silver, hanging around about the $25 level. 25 and change is kind of where we've been at for a lot of the summer here and spring. And we'll see what happens as the end of summer hits, in the beginning of fall, and more numbers come out. Once this quarter is finished, that is going to be, I believe, a reckoning day, one way or the other. One way or the other. It could move in another direction too. It just depends on how these things play out. Part of these numbers come out. But keep in mind, when you look at numbers, economic numbers, you have to think about context, and you've got to think beyond essentially ideology. There's really kind of digesting to kind of see where things are going. But one thing we know for sure, and I think we can all agree on this, no matter what your political, where you fall on the political spectrum, and that is that we have implemented a lot of money creation that has hurt the dollar, and it's been a bipartisan issue and problem. And sooner or later, this inflation that we're seeing red hot right now, I think could exacerbate and get out of control. And then we will start to see a movement of the prices one way or the other, because some people may run to the safety of cash or want to liquidate and buy certain things, and maybe some of them may end up putting their money into things that they want to buy before they inflate even more and hold them back. Everyday, regular items, even some things that some people would consider prepper items. There may be a rush to that, which means there's going to be less demand for gold and silver. Even though gold and silver preserve your purchasing power, what does that purchasing power mean? What is it for? It is for buying things that you really need. And when you think about it, how much do we really need silver, or gold for that matter? Well, we can't eat it, and we can't survive off of it as far as what it serves to do. It's not as liquid as cash. And so therefore, that's a way we could actually see the prices actually dip some. And in fact, we've seen that happen in prior recessions. We've seen the prices of gold and silver actually go down. And so you want to talk about a stagnant summer, the stagnation could continue. We've also heard about stagflation as well, and that can actually hurt gold and silver prices when you think about it. There's a lot of different scenarios that can play out. However, in the long run, gold and silver end up ruling the day. In other words, they will preserve your wealth. They won't make you rich. They will preserve your riches. And that's really the bottom line. That's what it's about. And I think in a way it's a good thing they're not as liquid right now. But nonetheless, they are liquid enough, which I think is a good reason to have them. But think about some of those other items if we do have a near hyperinflationary state, or even a full-blown hyperinflationary scenario play out. But nonetheless, silver acts as a wealth preservation tool, and it's also a commodity. And if we see the economy being hurt where there's less production, less activity, that means silver will be far less demand as a commodity, as an industrial metal, which will hurt its price. Because I think that it mainly, and this is why I believe the gold to silver ratio is as high as it is, over 71 right now as of the recording of this video, is because silver is seen more as a commodity. And in fact, it is more of a commodity than it is trading as a hedge or as money itself. But I do believe it's money. It's hibernating money. It's essentially asleep right now. But you will find and see that there's going to be activity where people make transactions, maybe perhaps, especially if we move more towards a central bank digital currency system like they've been talking about, even openly. Powerful Fed governor had talked about it. I posted a video about that not long ago. Yes, indeed, and that's just it. That's where we are going. And so therefore, having money in this form could prove invaluable if there ever needs to be transactions that are anonymous. I can't think of another way to make an anonymous transaction than through the exchange of gold and silver. And why not using actual United States silver coins to do your transactions? We know that this number here is just a number, a denomination. It's worth a heck of a lot more than that in order to preserve your wealth. And so it'll be traded for the metallic content, not for that dollar-denominated value. Speaking of silver and dollars, the United States Mint continues to, they continue to mint these silver dollars, as we see, and they've changed the design last year, and they even make them in collector form, such as this. And I posted a video outlining this, and I'll post a link to that either in the description or at the end screen of this video if you want to see this in more detail. I encourage you to check that out. But there you have it. Silver, stagnant. Hey, that's the way it goes. That's all right. We will press on through the stagnancy, if that's a word. I believe it is. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. We'd like to extend a multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe. Shake out these doldrums of summer. Let's shake out that stagnancy. Yes, indeed. Shake it out.